So the Battlefield 6 beta has been over now for a little while. I think a lot of us had a great time. A smaller vocal minority maybe, have had a lot of problems with it. One thing I think a lot of people, including people who enjoyed it like myself, weren't sure about was how involved are the devs for this Battlefield going to be going forward and throughout the life of this game. Well, I think today's X handle post from the BF Twitter page, it says a lot. We're going to take a quick peek at it, but I think this is a really good sign. Usually is. Hello, everyone. Thank you to everyone who joined us during the Battlefield 6 open beta weekends. Your passion and feedback have been invaluable with tens of thousands of connections on Discord. Yada, yada. They're saying thank you. That's not that big of a deal. Initial learnings and an in-game changes. Here's the thing. Now they're going to go through all of the stuff that they're thinking about changing. They are changing, or they're keeping an eye on. Weapons, making targeted adjustments to deliver more consistent, rewarding gunplay experience. This includes a general pass on recoil and tap fire characteristics. Now I'll skip the rest of it just to make this a little shorter, but essentially what they're going to do is they are going to make it more important for you to do more burst firing. I think a lot of people thought, while it felt really good, it was a little too easy to auto fire most any gun that had that capability without much of a penalty. And they're also giving a real good look at the shotguns and making it so you have to hit enemies with more of your pellets in order to secure a kill. I think it's a good move. Movement. This is one that I know a lot of people had an issue with. Movement mechanics have been adjusted to create more balanced and traditional Battlefield experience. Momentum, especially horizontal speed carried from a slide into a jump, has been reduced. There is now a greater penalty for consecutive jumps, which lowers jump height when jumps are spammed. So as you're jumping more and more consecutively back to back, your height gets lower and lower. Also, you're going to incur an increased accuracy penalty. That's the rest of this too. And so this will no longer be ideal options for engaging in gunfights and will contribute to a gameplay pace that rewards skillful movement without becoming too fast or unpredictable. Essentially, they want you to use the slide mechanic particularly to get away from stuff, right? Not as a means to engage people regularly or normally. Maps. We observed some players finding a way to reach rooftops and venture out of bounds. This gameplay is not intended for these maps, and the upcoming ladder for the assault class is also not designed to access these areas. We're actively working on adjustments to prevent unintended access and ensure gameplay stays within the intended boundaries. We also heard strong feedback from players excited by the larger scale maps that Battlefield has to offer. While the open beta featured smaller, more fast-paced maps, larger scale maps are already part of our launch package, delivering action-packed gameplay and memorable, unique moments for every player. As part of the upcoming Battlefield Labs testing, we'll be testing 2 new multiplayer maps, one set in Merak Valley and the other a remake of our fan-favorite Battlefield 3 map, Firestorm. Operation Firestorm, that is. So essentially what they're saying is they understand that people wanted large maps. They're still here, which is something I was saying the whole time. And I get that it's not the majority of the maps that come out with launch are going to be larger maps or large scale maps, but it's almost half of them. And I think people really made a little bit too big of a deal about that, to be quite honest with you. Some of the other concerns they had, I totally agree with. One of them being Rush being a bit weird. It didn't feel right. The 12v12 thing didn't bother me at all. I played Bad Company 2, and Battlefield 3 and 4. I remember Bad Company 2 being 12v12 instead of 16v16. That 16v16 came a little later. Bad Company 2 was great. I don't mind the smaller. The smaller is good. It makes it more tactile. It makes it a little more interesting. It makes it a little more like you get rewarded for actually doing something tactically sound. The one thing about it, though, is it didn't feel like they really had layouts correct yet for any of these maps for Rush. And they go on to basically explain that the reason they're not going back to 64-player or 128-player versions, at least from the base game, is because it just doesn't provide the Rush experience, the actual Rush experience that the game was known for back in those Bad Company 2, BF3, BF4 days, which I totally agree with, by the way. You can still make those game modes in Portal if you want, but as a base game, Rush is going to be offered by DICE in 12v12, and possibly it sounds like they may be working some of the maps to 16v16. Something else I didn't realize, and the reason I said they could do both, is because down here, as we go down to Breakthrough, there are maps in Battlefield 6 for Breakthrough that are going to be designed and played with 64 people, and designed and played with 48 as well. And I'm trying to find that part. Yeah, here it is. For example, at launch, some Breakthrough layouts will support 48 players, while others will have 64. So the idea that they may have 12v12 and 16v16 rush comboed is not out of the realm of possibility. The only thing weird about that might be, obviously, one thing I think a lot of people wanted was persistent servers. Well, you can't have persistent servers. No, that's not true. I suppose you could have persistent servers with player counts that change, but you'd have to find new people, right? As long as you're never going, we're getting into the weeds here a little bit. That would make things difficult. There's no doubt about it. Playlist options. A limited variety of playlist options was created for the open beta to both showcase and test the flexibility of the matchmaking system. For more details on our playlist adjustments, see our post about open beta. Essentially here, they're saying we get that you guys weren't getting all of the options here. But I think that they're probably going to learn from that whole hiding closed weapons at the back end of that playlist scroll bar. They don't actually mention that directly, but I think that they realize that even if it wasn't intended, it's absolutely possible it just was not intended. It just popped up that way because of a randomly generating what would be first to fifth, and it just was bad luck for them that's how it popped up. It's totally possible, but if that's the case and you didn't catch it and move it, you had to have expected that there was going to be some backlash. All in all, though, this whole post here, essentially, the reason I wanted to cover this is because it's a very good thing to see just less than a week after the beta ended. And the fact that they're already making changes to the game that they know are good moves. And I think the weapons change, the movement change, those two main things, I think those are all really good. I think as much as I enjoyed the gunplay, I did think there were times when it felt a little too easy to control. Now, it wasn't any easier than Battlefield 2042 is, which if you've gone back to play that game since playing this, it's a bit jarring. But I think that the incentivizing tap fire is another step into getting back towards more Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4. I think that's great. The movement thing, I didn't think movement was that big of a deal, to be quite honest with you. I didn't mind it. I wasn't taking advantage of it either, though I did see some pretty crazy clips of people that were using it to an interesting end. There was an interesting post made about the top speed sprinting for Battlefield 6 versus other Battlefield games, and Battlefield 6 is as slow, if not the slowest of all of them, which I think maybe a lot of people might be surprised about. Things like sliding might make it feel like you're running faster, though. Also, your POV, or your FOV rather, can also have an impact on how fast it looks like you're going. But as far as from place to place, top speed sprinting, Battlefield 6 doesn't even rank in the top at all. It's at the very bottom. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah, I hope this was good for you guys. Hope we're getting excited for Battlefield 6. I'm still not pre-ordering it. I'm going to wait till the week it comes out and watch a little bit before I decide to jump in and buy it. But I have a good feeling I'm going to own that game by October 13th, and it's not going to take long. I just told myself I'm not pre-ordering anything that I know has had issues with launch, and that includes Battlefield, and includes probably never ever buying a Call of Duty game ever again, period. Yeah, so thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it was useful. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.